Hi guys, today we have here the lovely Patricia. So if you remember on my community page, I posted asking that if you've been able to bring your child from a previous relationship to the UK successfully, where the father of the child did not come along, hit me up. And then there were a couple of people that hit me up. One of them was Patricia, and she was even willing to go further to share her experience to help other people. I'm doing this because people are struggling to bring their children from previous relationships to the UK because of all the paperwork involved, and sometimes the Home Office will reject it, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy that you are here who has been through it and you're willing to share. Stop that. So, Patricia, just briefly tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm Patricia. I'm from Jamaica. I'm a registered nurse. I work in a care home setting. I've been here since October 2020, so I'm officially here for 3 years now. So I'm in the Tyne and Wear area, mainly closer to Newcastle. So that's where I've been since I've been here. So wow. I came in October 2020, and then I brought my daughter here June 2021.
Wow. Did you come with MMA?
Yes, I did. I came with MMA because I knew about them before, because I born and grew up in Jamaica, and then in 2016 I had migrated to the Bahamas where I was for 4 years. That's where I learned about MMA, and then I started the process with them and came here in 2020.
Okay, so for those who are confused, MMA is More Medical Associates. It's an agency, one of the most legit agencies you can get to assist you to move to the UK. And that's the agency that I came with. The owner is a South African lady called Melinda. And if you're not from a red list country, as of now, they are still, recruiting, so you can come with them. First of all, how many kids do you have?
Okay, well, I'm a single mom to a 12-year-old daughter. Okay. So I forgot to mention that, yes. So I wouldn't say the process for me was extremely challenging. I would say fair. So I came here in October 2020, and from I always knew that I wanted to get my daughter here with me. I did some light research, but nothing too in-depth, because at the time I was more focusing on passing OSCE and things like that, because of course you have this fear when you hear about OSCE and not wanting to fail and stuff. So I said, let me focus on that first, and then when that's out, then I'll do that. So I did my exam and I passed in December 2020. So I was qualified at the beginning of the year. And then at the time I was living with a friend, so I didn't have my own accommodation, because you know how that can be. And then I got my own accommodation in February. So once I did that, I knew now that I was, pretty much ready to start the whole process. I didn't seek for any, what should I say, legal or professional advice. I was just browsing around. YouTube, as is there, but there can be a lot of confusing, conflicting information that will turn you off, that will scare you, that you'll probably think that you won't even get through. But nonetheless, I still did my research, and I said, I'm going to go ahead with the application. It's either yes or no. At the end of the day, not that I want to hear a no, but then at that time now it would let me know what I need to do or what else I would need to do. So basically I decided that I was now ready. So I said that I was gonna start my application. If you want me to, do you want the timelines or anything like that?
Yeah.
Right. So I made the application about the 27th of March in 2021. Okay. I had started filling in the bits like before that, but I didn't submit it until that day, because when you're going through the form, it does ask you for different things along the way and things like that. So she went for biometric on the 16th of April 2021. Bear in mind, I did the application here in the UK. She was living with a guardian in Jamaica. Notice I said guardian, not family. So while here, I tried to navigate things, trying to get them to prepare what other documents she would need. And then I collated a few documents here. And then, of course, from the biometrics now, you're waiting to hear what's going to happen next, etc. So it was normal application. You go on the Home Office website and you put in dependent visa application. I did just put a few more things, like I put my tenancy agreement just to show that I have that place, and I did put a maintenance letter from my employer, and then whatever else they had requested. So that's all I had submitted at that time.
Do you remember some of the things or the documents that the Home Office asked you to submit?
So it did ask for like passport or travel document for the child. then it asks for letter of consent from parents or legal guardian. The consent should indicate like your relationship, the consent to the application, consent to the living arrangements in the UK, and whether both or one parent has responsibility for the child. Birth certificate for Caitlin, unless you had submitted it before. So, and then that birth certificate would basically indicate the relationship to the person making the application, and evidence of my permission to stay in the United Kingdom. So pretty much that's all that was on the form. So me submitting the maintenance letter and the tenancy agreement were just things that I decided to add. Yes. Yeah. And I did add like the front page of my passport, and I submitted a copy of my BRP in addition to that. So that's all I had submitted at that time. So what I had done in terms of the permission letter, it was pretty much me just typing up a letter, having discussions with the father, of course, just to say that, like I put my address, the date to UK visa application sent, and I put the address, it was in Jamaica, and I put my name, the father's name, to say that we, the parents, give consent for the child to apply for the UK visa. And I put about the living arrangements, where my address was, and that was that.
So you just wrote a letter together with the biological father of your daughter Caitlin.
Yes.
And you signed, and then he signed, and then the contents of the letter was basically saying that you both are consenting to Caitlin applying for the visa to come and live with you at the address mentioned above, and he signed, and that was it.
And then, as I said, we put all those documents together, and then she went for her biometrics. Well, then on the 26th of April, at the time, I had gotten a response from Home Office, but pretty much at this time, they were now asking whether or not the child's father was applying, and if he was applying, they wanted to get his, that number at the end of the thing, that GW, whatever number. Yes, so they wanted to know if he was applying, and so that they could link the application. And if he wasn't applying, then they wanted to know why he wasn't applying. Of course, he wasn't applying.
I think that is the main issue. Right. Immediately, Home Office realizes that the biological father will not be living with the child in the UK. Yes. Now they begin to ask so many questions from you. Right. Because when I ask this question, so many people have been through that. It's like they prefer mother, father, and the child all come into the UK to live together. So that's what makes an application a bit complicated. So when they said that, how did you feel?
So I was like second guessing. I thought about it for a couple of days, thinking that, maybe I'm going to need legal advice or, something or whatever. And then that was when I started to watch more videos, and I started to get more confused because people were like, you're not going to get it if you are like a single mom and things like that. So pretty much all I did, I'm going to look for the email. So I just said, I put the number for the application. I said, good morning. In relation to visa application I put the name. I said, Patricia, mother of my child, and I put I said her father will not be applying as we're not in a relationship, so I cannot have him apply as my spouse. I said we do have an arrangement as to how he will maintain parental responsibilities. If at any point, if he wants to visit, then that's fine, he can go about it that way. And I said I did indicate that I have made necessary, because I think this is what is important. I said I've made necessary arrangements for her welfare or her well-being while I'll be at work and things like that. I've said that I've applied for school and things like that. So I think what Home Office needs to know is that you have suitable childcare arrangements, because you're a single person. Of course, you're gonna work, how much of hours or whatever the case might be. So they want to know that you have some kind of arrangement in place for the child's welfare and well-being, while you're at work. So that was pretty much what I did. So I sent that letter, like say on the 26th, and then by the next day, I got an email to say that the passport was ready for collection. Of course, you're not going to know yet. They said it was ready for collection. But by the time we got the passport in a few days, it was the next day. You could see that it was approved the next day.
So you didn't even have to go to your daughter's biological father to ask him to write any further letters or whatever. you just replied to the email they
I
sent
just
you?
replied to the email. But basically, while I was replying to the email, I did say, well, they did ask, for more information as to why. And I said, okay, this is what I'm sending. And I just sent that in. So just so he's aware that, okay, this is the email that I'm sending. The only other thing, as I said, what I did eventually, I said, okay, let me actually let him, write a letter for her when she's gonna travel, because I said she might need that. So what I did get him to write a separate letter to say that he has given his permission or consent for her to leave the country, come and live with me. And they did look at that letter at immigration, mind you, when I was coming in. So they did ask again.
Did you go for your daughter yourself?
I went for her because at the time I used it as an opportunity to just go home. So I just literally went for her, and she was here by the first week in June. So it was like very quick. It wasn't like a tedious process.
Have you heard of any stories or where people are struggling to bring in their children?
I do know someone, in a similar situation. She wanted to bring her child, so she wanted some information as to how to go about it. No, so she was telling me that previously she had denials. She had even gone through legal, like getting professional help or whatever the case might be, but it was still denied at the time. But I said, at the end of the day, these people pretty much is the same documents they're gonna submit. So I'm quite stingy, so I was not prepared to pay money to do something that I could do for myself, really. So I said, most times they won't just say they're gonna deny, they're gonna ask you what other information they need. And I said, when they do email you, whatever they ask for, you just submit it. And she did that. And then I think within 2-3 weeks, she had gotten, a positive response, which was good.
Wow.
But I haven't heard of anyone who was like totally denied. I knew someone else too who has a child from a previous relationship, and she successfully brought her child here too. And it was pretty much similar. We were like literally talking about it because we did it almost around the same time. So
this first lady you mentioned, what was the reason why it was denied initially?
Well, she didn't elaborate, and because we're not very close, I didn't ask her why, but for whatever reason, she said at the time it was denied, but this time around it was successful.
So was she, because it was denied, did she have to appeal? Did she go through an appeal?
Apparently she didn't appeal because she would have been here previously, and then because of that, she would have went back home because I guess it was a case where she didn't want to be without a child. So she decided to, try again and see what are her chances. But she did not appeal it at the time.
So are you saying she went back and she started the process again, or?
Yes. I don't know how she did maintain, because she's a nurse. So apparently she maintained her registration with NMC. So she apparently resigned, went back home and stuff like that, and started. Yeah, but she's here now, and I think her child is coming in a few days from now.
Okay, that's really complicated. There was another gentleman who the Home Office said he should prove that he has sole responsibility of the child. He should bring documents to prove that. So he had to prove that the child was living with his parents and that the mother was married. This is a man trying to bring a child from a previous relationship, not a lady. It's usually the other way around. And he said that he had to let the child write a letter to the Home Office. Yeah, that I've not really been close to my mom. My mom is now married and with her family. And my daddy got the opportunity to travel. I was born out of wedlock. I would like to live with my dad, go to school in the UK, blah, blah, blah. And he showed me the letter and it was really touching. I'm like, anybody in Home Office would obviously allow this kid to the UK.
And should I add that, because I've been here for 3 years, so you would imagine that I would have updated my visa since I've been here, because I changed job, but it was close to the time when my BRP was about to expire, so of course I would need to update hers too. But I didn't apply together because I needed mine real quick, because I wanted, because I did express. So I planned to do hers a month before it expired, which I did. So I did submit the application about a month before it expired. So I'm there thinking that she's here, so it's gonna be a walk in the park. You just submit the application and then it's gonna just be approved 1, 2, 3. So submitted the application, and then again within 2 weeks, I got another email again from Home Office asking for more information. This one was even more detailed than the first one. So it did say we are unable to conclude the application at this time as we require additional information. And then they're gonna put that whole in consideration of your application. I have certain responsibility regarding child welfare arising from Section 55. They go on with all those technical terms. But pretty much what they were now saying is that, okay, I note your mother is currently on a skilled worker visa. However, your father currently does not have permission to be in the UK as it stands. Could you please provide additional evidence which shows you will meet the immigration rule? That is, will your father be applying for a skilled worker visa? If so, please provide a reference number. Or will your mother have sole responsibility for your care? And if so, please provide supporting evidence. So I was like, okay, so are we going through the same thing again? I didn't expect because I was thought because being here it has been like quite easier. But so this time it took me a little time to respond because I'm like, why are we going through the same thing again? I couldn't understand. But what I did, I gave myself some time and I started, putting a few things together, which in addition to all the things that I put together, they didn't really specify anything. So I said, okay, this gives me an opportunity to just put whatever I want to put. So I did type a cover letter myself, basically again explaining the same thing, that he won't be applying for that reason. And I put that, I've made necessary arrangements, for him to maintain parental responsibility. And I have arrangements, for her welfare and for her well-being. I said I'm a nurse. I only work day shift, which is very convenient. I don't work nights. And, I put like as much information as I possibly could put in that letter. I did submit my tenancy agreement again. I, sent some other screenshots of some other things because pretty much it would be me just doing everything. So whatever evidence that I have that could prove that technically I'm responsible for everything for day to day, I just sent pretty much all of those. But then for whatever reason this time it was taking forever. But it did say though that when they ask for additional evidence and you send them in, they did say that it's not going to be within the standard time frame, so could expect to get the response a bit later. But it was eventually approved. But pretty much again it's the same thing. They usually need additional evidence and it's just to prove that, however you're gonna prove that you have sole responsibility. And so what I did, I just asked him to like write me another letter again. What I also did when I asked him to write the letter, I did ask him to get that letter verified, just to say that it's legit and it's coming from him.
Wow, that's a lot. And I'm sure there are lots of people in similar situations that are going to honestly benefit from this. And I'm happy that you've been very open. If there's anybody currently struggling, what would be your words to that person?
YouTube is here to help persons, but as I said, there's a lot, because even that post that you put up, I remember it was like I was just laying down that night, I was just scrolling and I saw the post. I said I would have done something about it, but for me, sometimes those videos kind of too time consuming, so I don't bother. I just post other things about, So I saw the post and I'm like, here we go again. And I was reading the different things and I'm like, these are the same reasons why sometimes people are so timid. They don't even want to apply because they fear the rejection. Everybody's experience will be probably a little bit different, but at least they probably still can use it like as a little reference to say that, okay, it can be done. Because I think what happened with a lot of persons, people try to discourage them, tell them that it cannot happen when it can indeed happen. Yes.
And let me also add that some of the ways, I know of another lady who contacted me and then she said she had to submit her child's tuition fees, receipts. So another thing is if the other biological parent is deceased, you have to prove with a death certificate or whatever. If you say this person is alive and probably has never even been in the child's life, you can show a proof. So maybe this person has been living with your parents or your side of the family and you can prove this. So like she said, everybody's situation is different, but if you should get a response from the Home Office saying that they've not been able to conclude on your application, blah blah blah, do not frighten, take your time, understand what they're trying to ask for, and then take your time and then respond accordingly. So far as you're not telling any lies, honestly, Patricia, thank you so much for coming over, after your busy schedule and to give us this information. And I'm very sure most people will benefit. And I'll put a link to your channel there, okay, so that if people want to ask you a few things personally, they can reach you if you don't mind. So thank you so much.
Yes, no problem.
God bless you. I like your accent, by the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.